It's time to recap the epic tale of Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas, where our main character has been beaten down her whole life, and now she's done letting anyone decide who she becomes. Spoilers ahead, and stay tuned for the rating at the end of the recap. We open on Celaena Sardothian, gorgeous and lethal, looking like she survived a year in the salt mines of Endovier on spite alone. Enter Chaol Westfall, captain of the guard, who arrives with the emotional warmth of a brick wall, and Prince Dorian, who looks like he's never had a bad day in his life and is deeply confused by the concept of suffering. Together, they offer Celaena a deal. Compete to become the king's champion. Win and you get your freedom back. Lose and, well, you've seen Endovier. Celaena, who would rather fight a dragon than shovel one more pile of salt, agrees. They haul her to the glass castle, which is exactly what it sounds like. A giant architectural hazard built on top of ancient stone ruins. Magic has somehow vanished from the world. The king is giving full tyrant vibes, and Celaena has to pretend to be Lady Lillian, a delicate jewel thief. But then she meets the king, who is terrifying, Duke Parrington, who is even worse, and the other competitors. One of them, Cain, radiates final boss in a video game energy. Celaena clocks him immediately as a problem. Training begins, and Celaena decides to play it cool, blend in. Chaol becomes her trainer. He is grumpy, disciplined, and allergic to emotions, which, for Celaena, is basically irresistible. He doesn't flirt. He doesn't smile. He doesn't even trust her. And somehow, that makes her feel safer than anything else in this castle. Meanwhile, Prince Dorian keeps showing up like, "Hey girl, what if we flirted instead of doing literally anything productive?" The competition begins with 23 other contestants, and Celaena has to pretend she's mediocre while secretly being the deadliest person in the room. But then things get messy. See, competitors start turning up dead. Not just dead, ripped apart like someone let a demon loose in a butcher shop. Fantastic. Soon, Celaena notices a draft behind a tapestry in her room, as well as stairs that lead into the dark. And because Celaena has the curiosity of a cat and the self-preservation skills of a toddler, she immediately goes exploring. But she has no idea she's about to meet Elena, a literal ghost queen hanging out under the castle. Yes, an actual dead queen. She appears glowing like a fey nightlight, announces that something evil is crawling around the castle, and insists Celaena must win the competition. She hands over a protective necklace, and then offers absolutely zero follow-up instructions. Celaena's reaction is basically, "Awesome, thanks, but can we rewind to the part where you're a ghost?" But then our story shifts. Celaena befriends Princess Nehemia, and honestly, this friendship hits her harder than anyone expects. Nehemia is brilliant, observant, and definitely knows more than she's saying. But more importantly, she's kind. She sees Celaena not as a weapon, but as a girl her own age. Someone worth talking to. Someone worth trusting. And Celaena, who has spent years surrounded by enemies and people who only want to use her, suddenly has a friend. It's grounding. It's the first time Celaena feels like she can catch a breath. Nehemia teaches her about word marks, ancient symbols tied to old magic, and our girl Celaena realizes that magic, although illegal, is still around and killing people. Perfect. Meanwhile, Duke Parrington's fiancée, Lady Cain, is spiraling. Parrington is manipulating her, drugging her, and whispering poison into her ear about Celaena. Cain becomes convinced Celaena is a threat to her future, which is hilarious because Celaena is too busy trying to survive to care about court politics. But then, in the middle of all this chaos, Celaena does something during the competition that shocks everyone, including herself. During a dangerous challenge, she saves a fellow competitor, Knox Owen, even though it cost her time, points, and political safety. She could have let him die, but she doesn't. Because beneath the assassin reputation and the snark and the trauma, Celaena has a moral compass that refuses to stay quiet. It's one of the first moments where we see her heart, the part she hides under layers of steel and sarcasm. And Dorian sees it too. Their flirtation, which started as harmless banter, suddenly shifts. He brings her books. He brings her attention she doesn't know how to handle. And one night, when the tension finally snaps, they kiss, soft and unexpected. Celaena tries to pretend it didn't affect her, but it absolutely did. And Dorian? He's already imagining a future with her. A future where she's free. A future where she's his somehow. Celaena hates that she cares. She hates that she's charmed. And she hates that she's starting to feel something like hope. Chaol, meanwhile, watches her train, worries about her safety, and occasionally lets a soft moment slip through before slamming the emotional door shut again. Celaena feels safer with him than she has with anyone in years, which is terrifying in its own way. Quick request, since you're still here, show this video a little love and hit the like button. It really means a lot, and it helps others find this recap as well. Thank you so much. But then, things get worse. Celaena discovers that Cain, the giant, smug, protein powder-powered competitor, has been using word marks to summon Ritteraks, demon creatures from another realm. These things are huge, smell horrible, and are definitely not covered in the tournament rulebook. One fateful night, a Ritterak creature attacks her. Celaena barely survives, killing it with a combination of desperation and pure stubbornness. She drags herself back to her room, bleeding and shaking, and ready to faint. Nehemia steps in, revealing she knows far more about word marks and magic than she let on. She helps Celaena heal, teaches her protective symbols, and warns her that Cain is being powered by something unnatural. And this moment, this quiet, steady, girl-to-girl support, hits Celaena right in the chest. She's not used to being cared for. She's not used to someone choosing her without wanting something in return. It's one of the first times she lets herself feel vulnerable. This sweet moment definitely affects our final rating. Want more SJM to binge watch? We're building the entire Sarah J Maas recap library. Every world, every book. Subscribe now so you don't miss a single recap. As the tournament progresses, Celaena starts winning challenges. Not just winning, dominating. She's faster, smarter, and more skilled than the others, even while pretending to be average. But every victory brings more attention, more danger, and more pressure. Cain watches her with a predator's grin. Parrington watches her like she's a pawn he's already moved. And the king watches her like she's a tool he plans to break. As the final competition approaches, a duel between her and Cain, Celaena is holding herself together with sheer willpower, caffeine, and the knowledge that if she loses, she's going back to Endovier. And she would rather fight 1,000 murder monsters than return to that nightmare. And then everything goes sideways. Lady Kaltain, manipulated and drugged, poisons Celaena right before the final duel. Celaena barely makes it to the arena. She's dizzy, sweating, and seeing double. Cain, meanwhile, looks like he just finished a protein shake made of evil and confidence. The crowd is cheering. The king is watching. Chaol and Dorian are quietly panicking. And Celaena? Celaena is just trying not to fall over. The duel begins and is a complete disaster. Cain knocks her around like she's made of paper. She can't breathe. She can't think. She can barely stand. She's fading and seconds from collapsing. And then who appears in Celaena's mind? The ghost from under the castle. Finally, some useful intervention. The Ghost Queen slowly removes the poison from Celaena's body and gives our girl a fighting chance. Nehemia steps in too, using word marks to protect Celaena. And just as Celaena is getting knocked around some more, Chaol, steady, loyal, emotionally constipated Chaol, shouts her name with so much fear and hope that it cuts through the fog. It's the anchor she needs, the spark that reignites her fury. Celaena rises. She fights back with everything she has left. Rage, trauma, stubbornness, and the bone-deep refusal to let Cain win. And when Cain lunges for the final blow, Celaena moves faster. She wins. Barely. But Cain, being the sore loser he is, tries to attack her afterward. Chaol steps in and takes him out. Clean, decisive, protective. Celaena sees it all through a haze of pain and exhaustion, but the emotion hits her anyway. Relief, gratitude, and something dangerously close to love. Aw, this is why we are emotionally attached to fictional characters. The king is furious, but forced to honor the deal. Celaena becomes the king's champion, his personal assassin. His threat is clear. Obey, or he'll kill Chaol and Nehemia. Celaena smiles and bows, but inside, she's already planning how to undermine him without getting everyone she cares about murdered. Dorian tries to comfort her, if you know what I mean, but Celaena breaks things off. Their romance was sweet, but it was also not built for the darkness she's walking into. She cares for him, deeply, but she can't give him what he wants. Not now. Maybe not ever. Chaol, meanwhile, stands by her side, quiet, steady, proud of her. And Celaena feels it, the safety, the trust, the slow burn warmth she didn't expect and definitely didn't ask for. It scares her more than the duel did. She's won. She's alive. She's free. In the way a blade is free when someone else is holding the hilt. Because nothing about this victory is clean. She's carrying trauma, secrets, and a destiny she's still refusing to claim. And now she's bound to a king she despises, trying to protect the people she loves while walking a razor-thin line between survival and rebellion. But she has no idea how much darker things are about to get. And soon, a single betrayal will shatter her loyalties and threaten to break her. The way Celaena claws her way back to herself one brutal step at a time in Throne of Glass is unforgettable, which is why it lands at a solid 4.5 out of 5 for us. And the spark between Celaena and her very inconvenient love interests? A warm, teasing spice level of 1 out of 5. Just enough heat to keep things interesting, with plenty of room to escalate. Now you know our take, but what about yours? Your engagement guides us. Please like and comment to let us know what to cover next. If you want to know what's on our TBR, the link to our newsletter is in the description. If you're ready for the real chaos, click the top right card for Crown of Midnight, where loyalties shatter, secrets explode, and Celaena's secret identity starts burning through the lies. More Epic Tales recaps are on the way. Subscribe to be notified. See you in the next video!